I guess we're recording. Okay, good. All right, welcome everybody to the AFTW May 10th meeting. I don't know if I need to remind everybody, don't have side conversations on the side. If you need to, just mute it. Who are the new attendees besides me?
Jeff Tripp, Cottonwood Airport.
Okay, welcome, Jeff.
And Mike Kinder from Wright Airfield, Arizona.
Matt Trabb, Mesquite, Nevada.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hello.
I think the rest are kind of old hands
Okay.
at this.
All right.
Yeah, this is John Baldwin from Payson.
Okay, welcome. This is going for wings credit for basic knowledge topic 3. So if you need to do the wings credit, talk to me or Jim, and you can send us a valid verification link, and then we can approve or deny said link. But you need
actually, the best thing for that, John, is go ahead and if you want wings credit, just drop your wings email address, your fasafety.gov winging email address in the chat, the Zoom chat. I can copy that later and send it over to Craig. He helps with that.
Okay. I guess this is the 20th anniversary of AFTW. The airspace, we were going to go airspace frequencies project, but we're going to delay those a little bit so we can get some more people on here that are kind of helping out that those ideas. Jim, what else? So is Brad Finch here yet?
You know, let's talk about that 20th anniversary real quick. I think that's worth emphasizing. So congratulations to the AFTW. In fact, let me go ahead and share my screen real quick and get to the right controls here. And so these are the meeting minutes. Anyone who wants to follow along, or if you guys have other meetings and need to go, this will be the same link. It's a Google Doc that will, this is our agenda that will turn into the minutes. So let me, sorry, I'm still getting used to all my Zoom controls on this new system. Get back to my chat. All right, I know you guys are putting your email addresses in, but here comes one from me. I'm just going to say agenda. And you guys can have the link right to this Google Doc if you want to join in. And in this Google Doc, I was able to go back in the archives and find the very first meeting agenda, which was June 20th, 2002. So it's actually next month is our 20th anniversary. And I think that's pretty remarkable, especially considering that there's no formal leadership of the AFTW. I don't know of any other organization that has no leadership, no budget. And yeah, whoever said that, we can hear you. Thank you. And so, yeah, here we are almost 20 years later. There's no meeting in June. We're doing every other month right now. So I thought it was worth throwing this up. Mike Halloran was the old rep from the FAA. I shouldn't call him an old rep, but the old title was the safety program manager. That was back before the FAST team. And he's the one that invited us together, had some concerns about flight training safety in Arizona. And you can see when you look through this agenda that some of the very first things we worked on, there it is, top of the list, Stanfield hold. There had been some close calls, and that's really what, you know, got us all together. And we talked about some other things, and here we are 20 years later. It's kind of neat. So I just was reminiscing a little bit, wanted to share that with you guys. So. And you know what? I'll go ahead and keep my screen share up. No, Brad, did you make it? Are you here with us, Brad Finch?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that was you that checked in. Did you want to share your screen, or did you have something you wanted me to share?
I'm trying to figure out the Zoom stuff. Evidently, I got to hang up with my computer, but
Well, I'm going to stop share, and you should see on your Zoom controls a button that says share, and then you can pick which window. While he's doing that, I'll do a quick introduction. Brad is one of the controllers at Chandler Municipal Airport, tower controller. And most of you probably know there was a fatal accident recently involving a Cherokee, I believe, and a helicopter dealing with what's called the Charlie pattern there at Chandler. And Brad was one of those that I think got voluntold. Is that how you said it, John?
Exactly what I said.
And is helping to get the word out about the Charlie pattern. And of course, we invited him as soon as I heard about it, invited him to come to this meeting. So
Evidently,
whenever you're ready, Brad.
okay. Evidently, I'm a little clueless on how to upload stuff here, but I can kind of give you a breakdown of what we got going on.
Okay.
Roughly the 1st of October, we had a Cherokee in the pattern for runway 4 right with a helicopter doing touch and goes on taxiway Charlie, which is the taxiway inside of the runway 4 right pattern. And the Cherokee, it came in on a short approach, and because the wings on Cherokee are obviously lower, he didn't see the helicopter and descended into him. Wound up killing both people in the helicopter. Since then, we've had several incidents where people are coming in for tight bases to runway 4 right or runway 22 left, and they wind up getting in so tight that they're inside the taxiway Charlie pattern. It's a hazard for the helicopters. It's a hazard for the aircraft. Chandler has been going through a process where we're writing a new letter of agreement with Quantum Helicopters, which is over on the northeast side of the airport. And what we've come up to agreement with, and what should be out in the next 30 days, is that Quantum will be keeping their helicopter pattern inside of 1/2 mile off of the departure end of each runway. And their base turn will be within 1/2 mile of the departure end of the runway. And there'll be an altitude at or below 1,900 feet. When we run fixed wing aircraft in the pattern, the fixed wing aircraft are generally at 2,300 as our pattern altitude. And that way we have a kind of a built-in separation between the two different types of aircraft. The problem we're running into recently is that fixed wing aircraft on the downwind are getting set up for their base turn. And when they pull power, they start descending and turning. And so once they start that descent from 2,300, they're back down into that 1,900 pattern for taxiway Charlie with the helicopters. And if they turn a close in base, then they're right in on top of the helicopters. So we're trying to get the word out that you're going to expect to extend your downwinds and not descend until you get on the base turn, and make sure you see helicopters if there's word about helicopters on your traffic pattern when you come in. I've got a PDF. I'm trying to figure out how to get it loaded up here. I'll get it sent out to Jim for dispersal, or I'll put it on the Arizona Pilots Workgroup once we get it up, and then we're going to post it at the terminal building at Chandler, at the different flight schools around the area, and then try to get word out to local pilots. And we're kind of doing that through like the Zoom meeting, et cetera. Is there any questions I can answer or anything I can help out with?
Yeah, I got just brief one. Was the Piper cleared for short approach?
No, sir, he was not. He had asked for a short approach. He was told no due to the helicopters and taxiway Charlie. And that's about all I can get into right now with that.
Yeah, okay.
Our biggest issue is we want to make sure you folks are safe at home tonight, and we want to keep you and the helicopter pilots safe. So like I said, if you don't see traffic and you've been told about helicopters in the pattern, please ask before you turn base, and plan anything on the south side of the airport to be no short approaches because of this.
Brad, Cary Grant here.
Yes, sir.
Your procedures,
Yes, sir.
are they applicable to other airports in the state, like Prescott, who runs both fixed wing and helicopter operations, or Glendale, or Gateway or Scottsdale.
It could be
Mhm.
applicable, yes, sir, but
Right.
what we're writing it right now is trying to save our own skins right now. And then if other folks want to use this and adapt it, we'd be more than happy to share. But right now, we're trying to get our problem taken care of first.
All right. The second comment I have, and I'm not, Jim can probably back me up on exactly where this is, but I think it's in the aircraft flying handbook that talks about fixed wing pattern procedures. And it says maintain traffic pattern altitude until either your beam point, or it may be that 45-degree point. And I see CFIs teach starting to descend on the downwind leg rather than maintaining traffic pattern altitude. And I was a product of the military where we stayed at traffic pattern altitude because it kept you in your ejection envelope until you started that base turn. And I think there's a lot of advantages other than staying in an ejection envelope. One, it makes you a lot easier to see in the traffic pattern because you're not disappearing down into the ground clutter, especially at night. And two, it makes your patterns uniform. But just some feedback on what others think about that, because and that was definitely a problem here where they started their descent on the downwind rather than staying at traffic pattern altitude until starting that base turn.
Yes, sir. It is a factor, and what we're seeing down here, and I've spoken with roughly a half a dozen instructors in this area, and all the instructors are making comment to the fact that they want to start the descent on the downwind, and it would screw up their training if they have to start the descent later. So as controllers here at Chandler, what we have started doing, right, wrong, or indifferent, is basically telling the fixed wing pilots if there is traffic in a helicopter that's going to be a factor, we just tell them extend the downwind, and then once we get the helicopters clear, then we turn the fixed wings base to alleviate this problem. It's been kind of a short-term fix, but what we're doing with this new letter of agreement and trying to get this information out is trying to solve a long-term problem as opposed to just a short-term fix that individual controllers are doing.
So just to clarify, Brad, this is Jim. Well, first of all, Carrie, the comment about descending before being a beam, that is not typical, not normal, for sure. I don't know the reference off the top of my head in the AIM, but even, for a short approach, the descent should not be started until a beam the touchdown point. So Brad, are you saying that even for a quote unquote normal pattern, or what you want to become the normal pattern, they stay at TPA until turning base, or is it okay to start descending when they are at or past the point of being a beam the touchdown?
What we're running into right now is on 2-2 left. I don't have a problem with them descending when they get a beam, the numbers, so to speak, their touchdown point. But for runway 4 right operations, if they start their descent, can you hear me?
Yeah, someone
Yeah.
else had some
Okay.
background noise there. Be careful, guys.
Okay. Sorry about that. If they start their descent being the touchdown point for runway 4 right, the hassle comes into that we have an ingress and egress route that if I can ever get this map put up here, the helicopters ingress and egress out of the airport down Cooper Road, if you're familiar with that, in Chandler on the south side of the airport.
Now, sorry to cut you off, but just so we all have the visual picture, you're saying a left downwind to runway 4 right. Is that correct?
No, sir. It'd be a right
You're saying
downwind.
a right
downwind.
downwind. So even on the north side, because I thought all this was just a problem on the south side, but you're saying a right downwind to 4 right. Or am I
Yeah,
backwards?
yes,
Hold on, 4 right. Right
4
downwind,
right,
4 right. Okay, guys, sorry,
Right.
I was flipped around. Okay, I'm
No
with
problem.
you now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right downwind for 4
This is why
right.
we need you to share your screen.
Yeah, I wish I could pick this up. The right downwind for 4 right puts you on the south side of the airport.
Yes,
And,
I'm with you now.
if they descend a beam the touchdown point for 4 right, they can start the descent and be right on top of the helicopters because the helicopters are ingressing and egressing down what's called Cooper Road on the south side of Chandler Airport at 1900. And so if they drop out of 2300 traffic pattern altitude, that starts putting them right on top of the helicopters ingressing and egressing, and then also on inside the Charlie pattern. So what we're trying to get through to the fixed wing pilots is plan for 22 left or runway 4 right operations at Chandler to not expect a base turn any closer than a mile right base or a mile left base for the respective runway, because that will keep you outside the helicopter pattern, which will be at a half mile. And then you can plan your descent once you get ready to turn the base, because that will keep you above the helicopters also.
All right. Brian, thank you for grabbing that. I should have thought of hit the little diamond with the swirly thing at the top of the screen 3 times so that north is up. And this gives us a visual right at the top of the graphic. You can rotate it 3 times. There you go. And you can zoom in as well. I think that should be showing up for everybody. So, and so just to reiterate, Brad, you're saying the kind of the Band-Aid or the quick fix is to tell fixed wing pilots to extend their downwind. And just so everyone knows, and hopefully flight instructors are coming back and watching this, when tower tells you to extend the downwind, you need to stay at pattern altitude until you're in a normal position for a stabilized descent. So by definition of extending downwind, that will usually not be until you turn base that you would start a descent. And does that match with what you're saying?
Yes, yes, sir, it does. Yes, sir, it does.
Okay.
On the map
Okay.
that we have displayed right now, if you see the taxiway Lima sign or the lettering right there by taxiway Charlie,
Mhm.
back where the bottom left-hand Charlie is roughly where Cooper Road comes in, and that's going to be the ingress egress point. And that's why we're asking fixed wing pilots to wait on the descent, because if they just start their descent to be in those numbers, they're right there on top of that ingress egress point right there. That little barb you see sticking out right there by the bottom C right there.
Got it.
And so that's where we get into the jam with the 2300 and the 1900 with the different pattern altitudes for the helicopters versus the fixed wing.
I have a
Very
quick
good.
question.
Go ahead.
Well, thanks. Hey, it's Scott Tennisand. I just spent the morning in the Charlie taxiway pattern doing a check ride out of Quantum. I'm glad to see that there's a lot of things afoot here to improve safety. The question I wanted to ask was, is there or could there be a geographical, in other words, a ground reference for all the helicopter folks to know that they need to be turned either crosswind or base prior to that point? I know some people estimating a half mile is different than other people. And at Falcon Field, in that helicopter agreement, we have to be turned base or crosswind before we reach the end of the runways, which happens to work well geographically there. I was just wondering if there'd be a good ground reference so all the helicopter people know that I need to be turned by this certain point.
Yes, sir. We're trying to work that pictograph inside of the LOA that we're writing with Quantum, and the letter of agreement should be finished. We're hoping this week once we get everybody signed off on it, but we're kind of in agreement on terms. It's just a matter of finalizing the details with all the official signatures. But I do have a picture I'm going to get forwarded to Jim on a PDF later this evening on Facebook or whatever. And it's going to show the pictograph with the I'll say boundaries. That's not the right word I want, but effectively that will be highlighted in red of where we expect the helicopters to be turned and not to fly over. It shows the parking lots back over like by Walmart and Home Depot over off of Gilbert and Germain. And then it shows off to the southwest over like the Amazon building off of McQueen and Queen Creek.
Okay, great. Yeah.
I'll get that posted later tonight. I apologize. I can't bring it up on the screen right now. It's for some reason my computer's not playing with me nice.
Sounds like you
No
guys
problem,
already
Brad.
thought about it, so thanks.
We're also going to get these pictures posted for like I said, it's going to be over at in Chandler Air Service. Yeah, we're going to get a picture up to, or several pictures up to Oxford, CAE up at Falcon Field. We're going to post it for AeroGuard down here at Chandler and try and get it out to the other flight schools. And again, I'll get it posted to this Arizona Pilots Workgroup so that folks can kind of see what we're talking about. But on the picture that we have posted right there, the half mile to the northeast goes up above that little yellow dot you see back up in the northeast corner. There's a little yellow tag marker, and the helicopter pattern will go up to about that point roughly to the northeast, and then back down to over to where Amazon and McQueen and Queen Creek join back down here to the southwest.
All right, very good.
Brad,
Thank you again, Brad. Appreciate it.
One more
ahead, Karen.
question for Brad, please.
Yes, sir.
You're hitting pretty much the training schools, but what about transient pilots?
We're trying to get the work. Well, we're trying to get depictions of what the taxiway Charlie pattern will be put into the AFD Green Book. But right now, we're searching for answers, for better answers on how we can get it to transient pilots, because last week I had a transit aircraft come in and I given him a suggested heading to enter a 3-mile right base for runway 4 right. And he couldn't find the airport. When he saw the airport, told him proceed, square his base turn to final to keep him out of the Charlie pattern. And he took that to mean turn it direct the numbers for 4 right. And so he got a little skosh with one of the helicopters. So we had to do a little creative headings to keep the helicopter away from him, since he kind of cut off the Charlie pattern. But we are looking for answers to get information out to the transient pilots. If you have suggestions, I'll be more than happy to take them, sir.
Well, and I know the runway safety folks were just out and they're working on your from the flight deck videos. Did that get included, or should they get this in before they publish?
I would love
Chandler?
for I would love for them to get that added in there also, if we could.
All right, I'll contact Joe Santorio and see and talk to him about this issue, because this is critical.
Yes, sir.
Teresa Farley here. I was on that committee for
Hey,
the
Teresa.
video that is coming out, and it is the Charlie pattern is talked about and mentioned. It's been a while since I reviewed the script.
And Teresa, I'm not getting a good connection from you. Do you have a different microphone? You're like breaking in and out, or is it just me?
It's sounding
No,
clear.
it's probably me.
You could hear
I
us?
can hear you. I can hear you clear.
I can hear you,
Okay,
Teresa.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can
I
too.
apologize for interrupting. Go ahead, Teresa. It just must be mine.
No, that's okay. I'm in my car, so it's probably me. So I was just saying that I was on that committee for that from the runway video. The Charlie pattern is discussed in the video. I can't remember the ATC person that we worked with, but they put their input, hopefully, you know, everything that's been discussed here. I can't remember the exact wording, but I don't think that it was during, you guys didn't have the LOA yet, or we're working on the LOA because the accident had just happened. So, but it is mentioned. So we can see, I don't know where they are in production on that, but it's in process.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah, maybe if we could just even have it, the still graphic of the PDF that we're going to post, have that edited into the video somewhere, that would be great.
Yeah, that could be great. And if my email's in the chat, Teresa.l.Farley. If you want to send that to me, I can get it to Joe.
Very good. All right. Any other questions for Brad?
Yeah, I got another question for Brad. So Brad, I rent a lot of, there's like 3 or 4 planes at Chandler that I rent, either myself or that I teach students out of. If that I can disseminate that to the owner, and then the owners can then disseminate that to all the renters as well.
Cool. I'll take all the help I can get. I'm trying to get a hold of several of the owners that I'm familiar with around here and pass the word to them, and then help getting them to pass the word to the CFIs in this area so that we can kind of get everybody on the same page.
Real quick, just so we get it on the recording, thank you for all of our helpers in the chat. Captain Bob gave the reference to AIM 4-3-2. You guys can go check that out. It has to do with operating with a control tower. And then AIM 4-3-3 from Garrett talks about staying at TPA until a beam, the approach end. And then Mike, thank you for the reference. It's page 8-3 of the airplane flying handbook is where they talk about that. So let's see. Terry said pilots approaching to land in a helicopter must avoid the flow of fixed wing traffic. True. And it's up to the controller to issue sequence. So that's all good. And then a question I have for you, Brad. I've noticed a lot of confusion on this, and I'm not sure if maybe one of our helpers in the chat can find a good reference, but from the controller's point of view, when you say enter 3 mile right base 4 right, do you mean a base that is 3 miles in length that leads to a normal length final, or do you mean to enter right base 3 miles from the runway?
That's, you can ask 3 different controllers and get 4 different answers, honestly. But
all right, I think it's the same with the pilots.
yeah, historically, what we're looking at here is if we tell you to enter a 3 mile right base, we want you to be 3 miles south, or correction, 3 miles from the airport on a base leg, or a heading that would put you on a base leg is what we're looking for. And
all
then,
right, so 3 miles away from the airport environment, basically, when you enter a right base. So
sir.
it'd probably be about a 2 mile length base to about a 2 mile final, just doing the rough trigonometry in my head.
yes, sir. And
Okay.
then the other one we're running into is I understand we deal with a lot of student pilots, but we would like to clear up the confusion with the instructors when we tell them to square their base turn to final. That does not mean turn it directly to the numbers. Yeah, it means stay on the heading you're out until you're turning final, which is something that some of the students don't seem to grasp right away.
Very good. So Brian just zoomed out there. So 3 miles away from the airport environment, I mean, each of those big roads is a mile. So right base, it'd actually be down south by the word Google. Am I correct there, Brad? So 1, 2, down there somewhere. So you're on I mean, that's pretty far out, almost the edge of the Delta, right?
It's at Chandler Heights, and it looks like Alma School would be 3 miles.
Yeah,
That would be pretty close, correct?
Just give everyone a reference there. All right.
Actually, if we, you'll see 87 on there.
Yep.
So basically Chandler Heights and 87 would be pretty close to what we're looking for a 3 mile right base. Drop your arrow down, Jim, about another half mile. And that'd be pretty close to what we're looking for when we say a 3 mile right base.
So you'd prefer them to be aiming for Ocotillo Golf Course?
Yes, sir, basically.
Okay.
That way it will keep them outside more, basically it'll keep them 3/4 of a mile to a mile outside of the base turn for the final for runway 4 right. And that will keep them outside the helicopters that way.
And then a question from Philip in the chat. So did you say that the LOA for fixed wing for 22 left will say to not descend until the base leg?
No, sir, not exactly. The LOA is going to be a letter of agreement between Chandler Tower and the Quantum helicopter folks.
Gotcha.
And it's going to basically be restrictions, not the word we want to use, because we all understand spill out and, you know, I missed my turn by, 100 yards, but we're trying to create kind of a safety corridor so everybody understands where folks are supposed to be. And that half mile off the departure end of taxiway Charlie on each end is going to be the helicopter's little box to work in, so to speak. And that's where we're trying to keep the fixed wing aircraft outside that half mile box.
Very good. Well, guys, this is exactly the type of thing that we want to talk about here at the AFTW. So thank you again, Brad. Thank you everyone for your input. And this is probably a good time for me to remind everyone about the Facebook group. This is what Brad was referring to. This is where we'll get that PDF posted. It's the Arizona Flight Training Work Group. on Facebook. You can see it's /group/AZFTW, which we know is not ideal, but that's what we got. And you do have to be a member of the group. We're trying to keep the spammers out, but you can request membership. It'll ask you a few questions. Please make sure you answer those so we know you're not a spammer. And keep an eye out here. You can see Lee just posted some good stuff a couple days ago.
Brian,
And John, back to you. Where are we at?
I'm sorry, folks. This is Rick Whitaker. Got one more question for Brian. Just curious. Has there been consideration to try to establish a procedure for the helicopters using an abbreviated pattern? In other words, inside of the fixed wing. In other words, not necessarily utilizing the end of the runway as aim points or what have you. Has that been considered?
Yes, sir, it has been. And that's kind of how they came up with this half mile off each end of the runway. They've
I'm
been
talking about more abbreviated yet. I'm talking about not necessarily even going beyond the other runway, since they're significantly more maneuverable than the fixed wing.
Yes, sir, it is. But the helicopters try to do what's called the 180 auto rotation pattern. And for them to have a decent climb rate to get in and out, it's kind of been adjusted back down to the half mile as opposed to the departure into the runway. We're trying to give them a little latitude and work the fixed wing around that also, because we want everybody to have a chance to do what they need to do for their air work. And the half mile's kind of been the nice round number, so to speak, to get everybody what they want to do.
Brad, Cary Grant,
Yes,
one
sir.
more thing. Craig Tompkins sent out an email this morning asking if there's been any work on the pilot controller form prior to the Chandler LRSAT on the 17th of June. This would be a good opportunity to discuss this at the pilot controller form. Is there, anything about having that set up?
No, sir, I do not. But as soon as I leave this meeting, I'm going down and speak with my manager. And so we'll touch base and I'll see if I can't bring that topic up to him.
Okay, thank you, Brad.
Yes, sir.
There's a couple of other Facebook groups that this information we can disseminate to. The Phoenix Pilot Group, which has about 550 members, and also the Arizona Instructors and Students Looking for Training Group, which has about 300 members also. So between those three groups, including ours, that's going to reach about 1,000 people or so.
This is Jim Tim with the Arizona Pilots Association. We would like to get it in our newsletter and out to the Arizona pilots that come in through our organization.
I remember one of the things we discussed at that very first meeting almost 20 years ago was to facilitate communication. So here we are. It's working. Good job, guys.
And we could work with SWAG on having it on SWAG's website as well, since they link to AFTW and ASAG.
That's
Yes,
the Southern
definitely.
California group.
Yep.
Yes, I'll send it in.
Very good, Lee. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, John, I guess I'll roll right into Goodyear since we're doing airports first. Just a heads up for everyone, United Aviate Academy is up and running at Goodyear Airport. They have taken over the facilities. I think we talked about this a couple months ago. It was still pretty new, but the facility that Lufthansa was using there. Do we have anyone with Lufthansa or the German Air Force on today? If we do, please speak up, because we were told, I think at this meeting 2 months ago, that they were completely pulling out of Goodyear and moving everything back to Germany. And I heard through the grapevine recently that they are now planning to rebuild some kind of program at Goodyear. Does anyone here know anything about that?
I've heard both.
Okay, so stay
So,
tuned.
and
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I'd heard both things, and before Tobin left United, he had mentioned the same thing as well. So I think it's just going to be hurry up and wait kind of thing.
Yeah. So I mean, I can tell you just being out there doing practical tests, the German Air Force folks are still there flying the Grobes and a couple Bonanzas, but not sure what's going to happen with them moving forward. As far as United Aviate, they are growing as fast as they can. Their current plan is 30 new students every month. They started that in December. I don't know off the top of my head how many of them. I think there's probably been 60 or so private check rides done and a couple of instrument check rides. So right now they're flying planes, the Cirrus SR-20 that ends with Echo Foxtrot. That comes from the old European flight training abbreviation. And they are about to go to the Varney call sign. So you guys heard it here first. And you're like, what? Varney? So Carrie, do you know who Varney is? Walter Varney?
Varney was one of the original founders of United Airlines. It was Varney Airways, and it was there was Boeing aircraft. Anyway, there were 3 or 4 airlines that all came together and created United Airlines.
Very good. What I thought you might know that, Carrie. What other comment? What'd you say, Alex? Alexander?
I said Continental Airlines too.
Very good. So yeah, so anyway, look forward to the Varney call sign. You guys are going to start hearing that any day now. Just want to give everyone a heads up on that. And what else do we have on there?
We're talking about
the
flight following from Luke.
Yeah, thank you. So that's still an experiment.
Yeah,
and Rainbow Valley's getting busier, but go ahead.
No, it's there on Saturdays and Sundays and most holidays. We'll cue the mic and make radio calls, and the United guys like, oh, we're on with Luke, and our assistant chief pilot, including myself and a couple others, have said, hey, well, Luke is closed. What are you guys gonna do about it? And then it goes silent again.
Yeah,
I don't know how that's gonna work if they're used to just going with Luke all the time, and then Luke isn't closed, or if they just have a quick shutdown.
There's a lot of confusion over there right now. I'm not sure what they were told or how the information was disseminated, but I can tell you just, talking to 2 different instructors on the same day, one seemed to know what was going on, the other was in the dark. So just a heads up for everyone here. I did ask the chief about it, and he kind of rolled his eyes like, yeah, it's a bit of a mess right now. But they were doing what I was told was a 1-week experiment with Luke to gather data and get input from Luke approach of how they feel about working all the flight training aircraft, or at least participating in Rainbow Valley. So don't know what's going to happen on that. Just stay tuned. We'll post more information on our Facebook page as it comes out. And
you said you mentioned the chief. Was that Shevlin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he knows there's some confusion. He's trying to get everyone on the same page, but yeah, that was about all he had for me to share with you guys. So, all right, that's all I got there. Back to you, John.
I think. Do you think it's late enough to where we can talk about the other ones that we're told to delay on, about the policy rate approach procedures and then the new frequencies? I was waiting to see if he's on here yet. Is Stacy on?
Stacy said he would try to get on toward the end of the meeting. I don't see him yet. I wondered, I think Brian Stamper might have something about Ryan Field.
Okay.
We've got some feedback coming in from a cell phone or a phone that's calling in 4105. If you could please mute your microphone.
I might be able to do that as well. Let me see. Brian, are you on? Brian Stamper?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know if you want to cover this right now, or we can cover it in more detail later.
No, we're doing airports first today, so this is a good time to talk about Ryan.
Maybe Lee can jump in if I missed something, but it came up that there were some questions about what the best way to enter Ryan is, especially because there's a lot of traffic from the Northwest coming in from cross-country students and just from local traffic.
Jim, would you silence that phone, please?
I found it, sorry.
And so we started a group discussion on how we started a discussion on what should the procedures be, what's the best way to enter Ryan, and I started working on a document, a 1-page document similar to our practice series documents to try and capture those thoughts. It's not quite done yet. We're still discussing some things, but we think we're kind of close on what our recommendations should be on how the pattern entries should be and what to look for. And it's interesting that there's already a discussion on the helicopters because that came up in the Ryan as well. There are often, Ryan, as you know, has parallel runways, but they're not offset like Chandler. So it helps a little bit. But a lot of times there'll be helicopter traffic. And what happens at Ryan is a lot of times the helicopter traffic, they'll put them on like a 6 left and the fixed wing will be on 6 right because the ILS and the instrument approaches are predominantly on 6 right. So we're trying to capture all of that and distill that down into a quick 1-page thing that'll help get people on the right track.
Very good.
Brian, maybe you can put together a presentation like Sarah Nelson and Lee did for Marana.
Yeah, I have to look at that again, but yeah, we can definitely do whatever will help the most.
All right, very good. John, back to you. I think we can go on to the training updates and concerns if you want to read through that while I'm working on some of the updating these notes.
When I talked to Stacy earlier, there was some talk about having 4 different frequencies for the north and south areas. So instead of having 122.75 to the north and then splitting it up with northeast, northwest, or to the south at 122.85 and splitting that into east or west, there was some talk that they might do 4 different frequencies for all 4. I don't know what they're going to do with that. And I know Stacy said he was going to talk to.
Yeah. No, I think on the agenda, jump down to training updates and concerns. Oh, no, I guess that was where we talked about frequencies. So that is related. What else did we have on there?
Something about something actually official about 122.75 the practice areas.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and save that for Stacy as well. I apologize. Go ahead and keep going down and tell them about the, go ahead and share the link for the weather service presentation.
It's a YouTube link. Can I share it on the screen? I don't know if I'm even able to.
Just put it in the chat.
Okay.
That would be good. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep up on the notes with Ryan here.
I'm going to put a YouTube link in here for a weather service presentation. Do you know who it's from, Jim?
Yeah, the National Weather Service. So this was part of our DP training last week, and we were able to cut it out with their permission and saved it as its own presentation. So please help spread the word on that. Well, here I'm back now, so I guess I can go ahead and show anyone who's watching the video what we're talking about, so you know what you're looking for. So
you're looking at the document, just copy and pasting it. All right. I was just typing it. Sorry.
Oh, no. You shouldn't have to type that. Are you crazy?
It was halfway done.
There you go. It's in the chat. All right. So here's what it looks like. So it was very informative. These are the folks that actually, whoops, sorry. Didn't mean to autoplay. These are the folks that actually make the TAFs that you guys look at every day. And it was really interesting to get some insight here. 48-minute video. So you guys can check that out. It's up on the Arizona DP Advisory Group Facebook, or I'm sorry, YouTube page. So just wanted to get the word out about that.
Anybody else hear from flight schools or from pilot groups?
I don't see a link to what you were just talking about in chat.
Did I not do that right? Oh, I'm sorry. For some reason, it only went to Carrie. That was weird. Must have been because he wrote me something. Let's do that again. Thank you, everyone.
Got it.
Silly Zoom. Did we miss anything else there in chat? I think we got it. Make sure text. Okay, cool.
I just finished.
What's that, John?
I just finished it for you. The next piece of on the agenda was a hypoxia chamber that's coming to town. There's an email here, and I can provide you that link.
I'll get it. I'll throw that in the chat.
Pardon?
I'm throwing it in the chat now. Go ahead and read it.
Okay, yeah. So there's a guy named Ernie. He's a coordinator for bringing a mobile simulator to the Phoenix area. There's going to be an email address there, and you can email him to see about bringing a mobile simulator to the Phoenix region. I'm going to email him and see if it'd be good. I think at least a good year, it would be a phenomenal idea with how busy this airport has become in the last 5 months. They're seeing twice the amount of traffic that they had this time last year. So it's something like that would be good if we can put it at a centralized location and maybe just have groups of students go. That might not be a bad idea. It is free. It's going to be here for approximately a week, maybe longer if we have enough students and enough push for it. And it's 1 hour per group of students. And the earliest, it's not going to be anytime soon. It's going to come around January of 23. So they're trying to get everything scheduled and ready to go now. So I'm assuming if there's a big demand for it, it might be here longer than a week.
Very good. And I think any sign of Stacy yet? Did you make it, Stacy?
May I share the screen? We have the presentation that he and Carrie Grant, Brian Stamper, and Jim Anderson and I put together.
Go for it.
Okay.
Just so everyone knows, we normally have a hard deadline of 2 p.m. for the DP meeting, but there is no DP meeting this month because we all had training last week. So if you guys need to run, we understand. We are recording this, but we'll keep rolling until we're done.
So we've been working with the FAA Spectrum Office and the FCC. We plan to request waivers for 4 different frequencies for air-to-air practice areas in the Phoenix airspace. So Carrie just refreshed this map, divided into 4 quadrants. And within this map, all the practice areas that are currently in place fit within inside of it and leaves extra room for variations if AFTW decides to do that over the years. So I'd like to make sure that all of you, if you see any issues or concerns, to please let us know. Stacy has pointed out some things, and Scott Tennyson's on. He worked hard on this project beforehand, and it's been a long process. Carrie, would you like to say anything?
I know Scott's worked on this. It was actually also started by, my memory's failing me at the moment.
Brent's worked on it too.
Yeah, our late great DPE that was part of ASAG and gave Jennifer Cox her check ride. I don't know why.
Oh, Terry Brandt?
Terry, that's it, Terry Brandt. Yeah,
Yes.
Terry worked on this. And what Lee is talking about is this is going to be codified. These are going to be published and authorized by the FCC, and the goal is to have this actually put on the sectional chart as practice areas. So when I was dividing the lines, they're pretty much along I-17 to the north and I-10 to the south is the dividing between northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. And we've made them sufficiently large enough that we anticipate future growth. This is a huge amount of airspace that this will cover. So that's, and how we put the training areas inside is strictly up to AFTW. The big blue on this screen, the red outline is just the outlines for the FCC frequencies.
And if there's any issues at this point, for instance, the green, I don't know if you call it the northwest, but the green in the northwest quadrant had been overlapping in 2 of the frequency quadrant. So Stacy moved it to the west. And if there are any issues with Rainbow Valley and Lufthansa practice areas, this would be a good time to let us know, because either the practice area map will need to move. The red lines do follow geographics, which is great, I think, for primary students especially, and for everyone to have visual reference.
Well, just to clarify, is there any reason that a pilot needs to know where the red lines are? I mean, as long as you know which quadrant you're in. I mean, I know you understand you need to understand the division between the quadrants, but we don't really need to know the outside limits of the quadrant, do we, when we're out there flying
No.
around?
No, but I think Lee's hope here is to just let everybody see this and get some input into it.
Got it.
Right. And right, you're right, Jim. As long as a person knows what quadrant they're in, and if they do change quadrants, they need to be aware of that because they will need to change frequencies.
Got it. So that's what you're referring to as having good graphical or geographical boundaries for crossing from one quadrant to another. I'm with you now.
Yes, thank you. So how is this looking to everyone? We'd really like a consensus, Jim Tim from APA, AFTW, DPEs. We've promised the FAA Spectrum Office and the FCC that we would be talking with all users, balloon, everything.
APA standpoint, it looks fine.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, as you guys know, we have no formal leadership of the AFTW, but we've always done everything as silence is consensus. So anyone that's part of the AFTW, if you have input on this, please go to aftw.org, click on the contact page. You can submit notes there. Do you want to give everyone a deadline, Lee? How much time you want for input? I don't expect much. I think this looks great. Looks great to me, speaking for myself.
Well, the sooner the better. I want to be reasonable and give people enough time. Do you think May 20th is enough?
It should be. So there you go. May 20th, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Thank you. And what about the DPEs? Without a DPE meeting this month, I know we have some DPEs here.
Well, I certainly can't speak for anyone else, but I would say that those who care are either at this meeting or they'll watch the recording soon. And if we have any other feedback, we'll let you guys know.
Okay, and Scott,
yes,
as a helicopter guy, what do you think of all this?
I think it's fantastic. I can't thank you guys enough for the continued work you've done on this. I think it's nothing but a great improvement. And I think the divisions are perfect.
Well, thank you. I must say that San Diego is working on this and LA already has, and they have 2 frequencies for each practice area, one for low level and one for higher level. You pilots in the Phoenix area, do you see a problem? We were planning on having 1 frequency for each quadrant, and we are going to be, if approved, allowed to use it as high of an altitude as airspace and we wish.
So I've never operated out in California doing what they're doing, but the first thing that comes to my mind is that seems like it'd be a challenge the way we go between airwork and ground reference with the fixed wing. I like the idea of what we're doing here with 1 frequency for the quadrant, not have to worry about the altitude.
Okay, yeah, they have so much helicopter traffic on the West Coast, which drives some of that.
Yeah. We have a fair amount out here, as we've discussed today.
Yeah, right, which is why I wanted to bring it up now. Okay.
I think 1 frequency is better. I mean, it's too hard. Like Jim said, if you're practicing, emergency landings or steep spirals or something like that, to have to worry about, oh, am I too high? I need this other frequency, or let the people down below know on a different frequency, or what?
This seems very practical for the Phoenix airspace.
I think 4 separate frequencies is going to be really effective, because it's hard enough if you get transient guys or weekend cloud busters coming out there, at least if we're all on one frequency, if someone can reach them or find them, or if we can disseminate this out, anybody, literally anybody flying on a weekend or someone flies all the time will have one number that they need to just listen in and talk to. I think that would really, it would get rid of a lot more confusion if we had two, depending on altitude. I think it's just one section. If you listen to it, if the reporting point is close to you, then you worry about it. If not, then you keep teaching, you keep flying.
Yes, it'll be great. We can self-announce our location, altitude, and intentions to one another for safety.
Lee, I have another question related to this. So I know there's no guarantees, and this is one of those projects that takes a whole bunch of upfront work to even write the proposal and write the request to the FCC, FAA, whoever it all needs to go to. But do we have any sense of how likely this is to happen? I mean, is it just a matter of time and we're confident, or are we still crossing both fingers, fingers on both hands, hoping this is going to happen?
Well, all the above, but I am very optimistic. Sydney Bradfield from the FAA Spectrum office has introduced us to people in the FCC, and we have not been discouraged at any step. So I don't assume anything, but I'm very hopeful.
Good. That's good to hear. Yeah. Well, just knowing that we're all on the same team and it's moving in that direction, but just so everyone understands, it's very bureaucratic and there is no time estimate on this. I think there was at least one person that contacted the AFTW asking what the frequencies are. It's like, wow, we are not even ready to start talking about those yet, because we're just in the early stages here, folks. So please be patient with us, and thank you, Lee and Carrie and everyone who's been helping on this. So.
You're welcome. And Jim, thank you so much for keeping AFTW going. I wondered what that passcode stood for, and now I know. And thanks to you and Tina and all the other founders.
Well, you're very welcome. I forgot that I did the Easter egg in the passcode. It's actually part of just the registration link now, but there you go. And you're welcome. I don't claim that I'm the one keeping it going, but I've been available to help recently, so I'm thankful for everyone else who works on it as well. Anything else on that? Are we good, Lee?
Yeah,
That's it. Thank you so much.
Jim, let me just reiterate that until this gets approved, the training frequencies are what they are today. 2275 to the north, 2285 to the south. And Aviate picked up the Rainbow Valley frequency from the aviation spectrum lease. So that Rainbow Valley frequency is still current. So those are the frequencies we should be using out in the training areas today.
And for anyone who is new, let me go ahead and just go to aftw.org. Oh, come on, internet. Don't do that. Hey, well, I'm talking to you guys, so it must not be my hotel Wi-Fi. Is it our website? The W should be optional. You guys are still seeing my screen, right?
Yeah, I have that problem on my browser as well, Jim. It blocks AFTW for some reason.
This is a new computer, but all right. Anyway, aftw.org, and go to the practice areas and you can see what Carrie was just talking about. And that's a good segue. If you don't mind, John, I'm going to roll right into that other topic that we agreed to hold off on, because I think this is as good a time as any, which is really a good example of the challenge that everyone is working to solve with these frequencies. So we got a question via our AFTW website recently. And well, let me just read this. The person said, question about North Prax area frequency 122.75 as the official air-to-air frequency. Many people use it tooting around the valley, and it can get very congested at times. Has AFTW ever had any complaints? I've heard many people using the frequency to self-announce for maneuvers, tell the casual flyers to change to fingers. Should they go ahead and go to 123.45 or stay on 122.75, which is their preference, and the legal air-to-air frequency? So that was the question, and I took the lead on answering it, and you can see my answer there in the minutes. But just since I'm here to speak for myself, I'll tell you, I felt it was important to emphasize to everyone that there really is no official practice area frequency, meaning, or in terms of FAA sanctioned, FCC sanctioned, anything like that, 122.75 is the official air-to-air frequency throughout the entire country. And that is what we were using 20 years ago when the AFTW first got together. And one of the challenges was how busy the frequency was. So I don't even remember who got the idea of using 122.85. I believe that's a multi-com frequency when you look it up. And the FAA, our local FAA, did not have a problem with it. So we basically said, hey, let's do it. And as a group of non-official volunteers, 122.85 was born for the South practice area. But please, everyone, keep in mind and understand that the AFTW does not make policy. We make recommendations and we suggest best practices as a group. And silence is consensus, as we said. So understanding that, and that's why I put the word official in quotes in my reply to this person, I informed them about the project we just talked about. And I did look up as far as 123.45. I was curious about that myself, and doing a little bit of Google searching, the only FAA document I was able to find is this one talking about spectrum management. And I don't know if I can find it real quick, but it's not a very long document. Basically, pilots should not be using 123.45 for air-to-air unless it was something about oceanic stuff.
Yeah, I can jump in on that
test.
real
Go for
quick,
it, Scott.
Jim.
What do you know about
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, so
Here it is here.
12345 is one of our flight test frequencies, and it's actually specifically a military flight test frequency. So out of Boeing and of course MD and other manufacturers doing flight tests, we have that band, and we don't have just pure use of it. We also have to go through Spectrum and own, quote unquote, own certain frequencies. But that's been a big point. We've been out doing flight tests over the years, doing some, some pretty hairy stuff that can be, very, very dangerous with mitigations, and comms is essential. And we'll be right in the middle of a test point doing something, and you'll hear, two instructors, hey, Billy,
hey, Jerry, switch over.
Yeah. So fingers is that makes me cringe when I hear them go to fingers. Every frequency is either, held by the frequency allocation folks or quote unquote owned by somebody that's been authorized to use it. So I try to tell all the instructors I meet that have the habit of doing this, that there isn't a frequency you can pick that you don't think is in use, because there may be somebody in the Phoenix Valley using it.
Very good. Well said. Just for anyone that may have not ever heard of fingers, you got 5 fingers on one hand, so it's frequency 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is what people mean when they say go to fingers. But what we need to be teaching everyone about it is, as Scott just said, don't do it. So if you hear a friend, a fellow pilot, a flight instructor, anyone talk about just go to fingers, please be part of the solution by saying, not a good idea, not authorized. Again, the only current official air-to-air frequency is 122.75. We have not ever had any complaints about anyone using 122.85. So we're going to keep doing that, going for forgiveness instead of permission. And hopefully this other project will come along, and then we will have 4 frequencies that are designated just for this. So, and the other question that person had was about getting complaints. And I think what that prompted me to tell everyone here in the AFTW, please keep all this in mind and be polite. Those folks that are on 122.75 chit-chatting all the way from Deer Valley to Sedona are absolutely allowed to be using that frequency, and we need to share the frequency. If they're doing anything unprofessional or inappropriate, you may politely ask them to stop, but it's an air-to-air frequency, folks. We don't own it. The AFTW doesn't own it. Just because we put it on our practice area maps doesn't mean that other folks can't use it for their own conversations. So let's be kind, be polite, be professional. So that was all I had on that. Did Stacy ever make it? we might just go ahead without him.
I'm gonna text him, Jim, see if he responds.
Okay. Let me stop share because you guys don't want to read my email. And let me get the presentation. I can't minimize while I'm recording. Well, that's fine. I'm not sharing. Hang in there, everyone. I think he emailed an attachment to me that I can share. We were hoping that Stacy would do it because he's the one that's been working on it. And standby one. Sorry, I didn't have this ready. He was optimistic he was going to make it today.
Hey, while you're waiting, Jim, I've
Yes,
just
go
got
ahead.
a call from Ernie talking about the hypoxia chamber, and he requests that John Keith call him about the hypoxia chamber. So,
Wants me to call
As
him.
far as scheduling,
yes. And
as opposed to emailing, or
yeah, I think he'd like to talk to John directly about it.
Sounds like I'm in trouble.
he probably just has some good information for you. So, all right, guys. So I'm not
do you
going to be able to
want-
share this, John. I apologize. I'm on a new computer and I haven't set up Microsoft Office, so I can't even open that. It's a PPTX PowerPoint. If you want, I can just talk about it.
Sure. I just heard back from Stacy. He said he will not be making it today.
Okay. So just an update that update is coming. What we're talking about here is the Coolidge approach procedures. Most of you know that we made a recommended hold for VFR practice approaches going into Coolidge. And then the FAA changed that approach a few months ago. So we took it off our AFTW website. Stacy and Brent have worked together with some other instructors and put together a new presentation. And I believe that is the email we got just a couple hours ago. And we will get that up and posted on the website. I might be able to FTP that up from my hotel. I will try, but sometime soon, keep an eye out for that in the Facebook group. And of course, any feedback that you guys have on it, let us know. And John, how are we doing on the agenda? I know we kind of jumped around a little bit. Probably a good time to ask if anyone has any miscellaneous items you'd like to go over.
Yeah, any issues you guys see in the practice areas? Any big concerns that have been happening a lot?
Yeah, we had a meeting with P50, the safety rep from P50, and he was talking about the number of traffic collision avoidance and RAs that they're having in the northeast practice area, particularly in that area from Sky Ranch out towards the street pattern area. If people are out there doing their maneuvers around 5,000 feet, is just about the same altitudes that the jet traffic is departing and arriving into Scottsdale with. So he used the word, he's alarmed by the number of near mid-airs that they're starting to see out in that area. So we're trying to get the word out that that's probably not the best area to be doing your maneuvers at out there in that street pattern area to the east of Sky Ranch.
Good reminder. One of the projects that's still been on the back burner is recommended procedures for practice instrument approaches in the Phoenix area. If we have any instructors, instrument instructors, or even instrument pilots that have some available bandwidth to help on that, please contact me. Love to get some people to get that project done.
Tim, I do have one question. Considering it's something at my home airport, and I should have asked somebody else instead of you guys. What about getting an AWAS for Goodyear? Because now Goodyear is operating at least 24/7. Glendale's got an AWAS that's pretty nice. Deer Valley had one when they closed. I don't know of any other airports around here except an uncontrolled field at night that's as busy as this place is. How do we go about getting one started? Who do I talk to? Because once the tower closes, there's nothing here. You just self call, and if you want to get weather, you can listen to Glendale's, but it's not that accurate.
That would be an airport facilities, the airport manager.
Which would be the city of Phoenix, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Send him an email. You might get lucky, him or her. All right. Well, I just took a quick look through the agenda. I think we made it through everything. Good job, John.
I didn't do much, bud.
It's all good. If I'm on a trip next time, you can handle it without me, right?
I guess we'll find out how many phone calls you get.
All right. Let's see. Something coming in the chat. Let me pull that back up. And while I'm doing that, anybody else have anything?
This is Jeff from Cottonwood. Just sent a few notes out. We do have our AWAS back in service. We have hang gliding operations will start commencing the end of the month from Mangus Mountain in the vicinity of the airport through November. So we are updating our airport noise abatement policies. We know we're getting a lot of traffic from Prescott, but also some of the Phoenix area airports. I've seen Sierra Charlie Academy out of Scottsdale. So we're doing a number of things. Our traffic pattern altitude for single engine was raised finally by FAA from 800 feet to 1,000. And we'll be working later this year to try to get some pilot guides for fixed wing as well as helicopter, because we do have a tour operator that goes from Cottonwood to Sedona all the time. So we had about 2,000 helicopter operations out of our 37,000 ops last year. So we've got a lot of different things going on in the airspace. And then also thank you to Aviation Safety Group of Arizona. They're going to be doing a video for us later this year once they finish something for P50. So we've got a lot happening up here.
Actually, Jeff, we're thinking of putting you at the top of the agenda before P50, since that's such a big project. So
Even better. I won't say no. It's
Okay.
it's kind of crazy up here with no tower.
Thank you for being here, Jeff.
My pleasure. Yeah, I've been with this group off and on over the last 20 years. Just depends which airport I'm working at the time.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good group.
Anybody else? All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, for participating. And next meeting is in 2 months, second Tuesday. Let's see, it's on the agenda /minutes, July the 12th at 1 p.m. And registration link is there at aftw.org/next-meeting, or you can just go to aftw.org and click on it in the top right. And again, any input on anything that we covered today, please send us that through the contact form on the aftw.org website. John, you got anything else?
Jim, I'd like to interject one more thing real quick. So I did talk to Stacy earlier about the overlay for Rainbow Valley. I know there was some confusion between the prison and the Lakeside private airport. We did fix that in the overlay today. So now they're separated. It's going to say Lewis Prison or Lakeside Private. And then they did add the shooting range. I believe it's called the Foss shooting range now, or Foss range. That's in the Rainbow Valley area. It's heavily used. It's that there's like a corridor right there where I-85 is. And that shooting range was at the north end. And the original overlay from AFTW showed Lakeside Prison. And because there are two spots out there, there's a lot of traffic between our school and even United had some confusion with some of even their own planes and own students that would say they were Lakeside Private, and then one would say they were prison. And there was a lot of confusion. So as at least of today, that's going to get fixed.
All right, very good. So for anyone new, what John's talking about is the overlays that we made for ForeFlight and Garmin Pilot, also available at aftw.org. Go to practice areas, you'll see it. A couple of videos there that show you how to install them. Did Stacy indicate, is he making this revision 12? Do you know how he's doing the revisioning on it?
He was doing it as I was talking with him. I don't know when.
Okay. So revision 11 is currently on the website, and it does take quite a bit of work to get that web page updated with all of the new revisions for all the new practice areas. So there may be an in-between revision that we put on the Facebook page. It's just a KML file that you download. So as with everything else, stay tuned, everyone, on the Facebook group. All right, anything else? All right, guys, I think we got it done. Thanks again, John. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to y'all later. Be
Thanks,
safe out
everyone.
there.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.